Hi, my name is Barbara Haywood. Good afternoon, Professor K and class. My presentation is on the ruling that was ruled on yesterday. The United States Supreme Court, the highest court of the land, has agreed that a child's brain differs than an adult. Just because a child turns 18 doesn't mean that they're fully developed. You might say that they're still under construction. The frontal lobe of a child is approximately not fully developed until the age of 25. In the ruling that was ruled on yesterday, Montgomery versus Louisiana was holding that Miller versus Alabama, 2012, prohibiting mandatory sentences of life without parole for juveniles. The ruling that was published yesterday by the United States Supreme Court said that retroactivity applies to all cases on collateral review. You may ask, what does this mean? Approximately 370 juveniles here in Michigan have been sentenced to life without parole. This means that they will have an opportunity of seeing the parole board and having the title of life stripped off of them, a possible outdate. Some of us may agree with this and some of us not. Understandably, there's a lot of families that are involved on both sides of the fence and a lot of feelings. But we must take time to consider that these are children. And remember, children make mistakes. They are redeemable. Most, anyway. I'm not saying all. As an ex-corrections officer, I found that many of them were. However, I also saw that many of them weren't. And the cases that I saw that I personally felt, my personal opinion, where the child was not redeemable, were the ones that were in solitary confinement. Solitary confinement is very damaging to anybody, let alone to a child. Children have special needs. We all know this. We treat them different. They're treated different when we discipline them at home. So, my personal feeling, and what worked for me best working in a juvenile prison, was to treat them with the leadership role and also the spiritual role. Not for religious purposes, but more so to let them know that there is hope out there and that they are redeemable. They do have a chance, but they must apply. The unfortunate factor that we suffer here in Michigan in the adult system is that our children who are sentenced to life are deemed non-redeemable. So what does that mean? They're not entitled to enter to any classes other than their GED. Because why? They don't want to take up room for people that have outdates that will be coming home. So that's the concentration. We have approximately 370 juveniles that now have a chance to seek the parole board. As you look at this picture, this is a picture of a solitary confinement cell. You see the concrete padding, they get a 3-inch mat to put on top of that. Do they deserve more? No, that's not what I'm saying. Punishment is punishment, and they need to be punished. But to put a child in solitary confinement is damaging to a child's brain, his self-esteem, and his whole person. They have nobody. For 23 and a half hours a day, they pace this floor back and forth. And if they're lucky and they got a good officer, they might be able to get out for a shower once or twice a week. And maybe 1 hour a week for yard. We have to do better by our children. Our children deserve better. I'm not saying they don't deserve punishment. You take a life, you have to have punishment. I understand that, and I respect that. But to totally strip a child of hope, I disagree. Personally, again, this is my personal opinions. Here, you see a picture of a young boy in handcuffs. This is just a small touch of what he might be feeling within. I'm not saying again to change. We need to change our justice system which suits our children better. This young man is being escorted to court. He's belly chained, he's shackled at the legs, and he's handcuffed on his way to his court hearing. Here you see the young men on their way to chow. Chow meaning dinner. Yes, they have to have their shirts tucked in. Yes, they have to have their hands behind their backs. Yes, some counties, obviously this one, they're allowed to wear hoodies. In most prisons, you're not allowed to wear a hoodie. But these are our children. Punishment is important, but it's how we do it. How do we structure and discipline our children is important. And this is going to be the end of my presentation. And this really sums up what I feel. A child we have jailed is a child that we failed. We are a team. We must work as a village to raise our children. We do not need to send our children to prison unless it's a heinous, heinous, heinous crime. We need to rehabilitate our children. We need to teach them, educate them. Thank you very much for being attentive, and I would welcome your comments. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.